Hey everyone, it's Matt from Akuma Mods. Today we're going to be doing an actual review of the Sparkmaker Mini SLA resin printer. So I got this printer about, I want to say 2 weeks ago now. I had done an initial unboxing and just setup video. Pretty straightforward. You take it out of the box, you set the hood up on it, and add the resin, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Very, very simple, very straightforward. This resin printer, if you can't tell already, does not have an LCD screen like most of the other resin printers that people know, and that I own some of the other ones. So that's what makes this unique out of those. Secondly, the size of this is actually very, very small. It's very compact. It's really nice to have for its size. I work on a small desk space here for the most part, and this is actually a really, really nice printer to have here. Obviously, the downside to that is that you do have a small build plate. So it doesn't really hold a lot of resin. It's very, very small in terms of what it can print for the build plate wise, but it does have a good amount of height on it. So it does have some pluses and minuses, obviously. But what's really nice about this printer that I really, really like is it's very, very basic. So anybody who's wanting to get into resin printing, this is actually a really, really good starter, and it's currently retailing on Amazon for $229 US dollars, and every now and then there's codes and coupons and whatever that pop up on Amazon, and you can save some money, and you can get this under $200. Now, if you could get this under $200, this is an absolute steal, because you're getting the quality of a resin printer. Obviously, it's going to be a lower grade resin, but you're going to be getting that, and it's going to be a really good buy, because when you buy this printer and you get a bottle of resin, you know, you're still at the price range of less than an Elegoo Mars or any of its type of competitors that are in that price range of the close to $300 range. So, I mean, you could even get two 500 milliliter bottles or a 1 liter bottle of resin and this printer, and you're going to be right around the price of a Elegoo Mars without any coupons on the Elegoo Mars size. But anyway, so I wanted to do like a full-on review of this because, well, I didn't want to just throw something out there that was kind of, half concocted and whatnot. So I specifically started this video with the printer starting a print. And yes, we are printing right now. I know I do not have a mask, but we do have a air purifying system right here. So no worries about resin or anything like that. So that's the first thing we're going to touch on is resin. So this does not come with any resin. It's an unfortunate downfall. I know the early backers for the Kickstarter, I believe it was on, this did come with 2 full-size bottles of resin. Full size at the time were 500 liters or milliliters. Sorry. So that was really nice. It would be cool if they added even a 250 milliliter bottle with this printer. That would make this an untouchable printer, even at its current $230 price range. So it is. If that was the case, by all means, untouchable. Like I said. So let's get into talking about the printer and what's good and what's bad. And I've basically told Sparkmaker, the good and the bad with this printer. So some of the good things, obviously, it's compact. Very, very small, and you can put it literally anywhere. Unfortunately, it still has to use a big old power brick, as most of these resin printers do, but that's a very, very minute thing. And simplicity. So I use Shitu box for most of my slicing. If I need to go a little bit more advanced, I use Prusa slicer. But for this, I just stuck with Shitu box. And what's nice about that is Shitu box actually has a profile pre-set up for it. So it automatically slices the file in, I believe it's a .wow format. And I think they did that purposely because it's made, the company who makes this, their name is Wow. So I don't know the full name, but it starts with WoW. And usually there's the WoW sticker on the front of this build plate, but mine happened to fall off, and I found it on my first print. So that's why one of these prints we'll look at, you'll see is a little wonky because, well, the sticker fell in the vat, and I didn't even realize it. So those are some of the plus sides of this. The simplicity is definitely probably the biggest thing. The downfalls now with that is because it's so simple and it doesn't have a screen, you can really only slice one file at a time. So it's got kind of a downfall in that sense compared to the other printers I've been using, like the Elegoo, the Anycubic Photon, the Geeetech, the Hiea, all those printers. They all have LCD screens, and they allow you to have multiple files, so where you could just push and click and do whatever and print them. So that's at least one downfall. Again, it's a minor downfall at that because it's nice to have that simplicity, and you're not like trying to rack your brain trying to figure anything out. Leveling the build surface is really, really nice. You have 4 screws, 2 on each side. So that gives it a really, really solid base. And I really, really dig that with this printer. Whereas like some of them, like the Elegoo Mars and the Anycubic Photon, they kind of use a pivotal system. And while I understand where they're going with that, I really think that this is more rigid for your print. And I printed about 5 different things on this, and I have not re-leveled the bed yet. I'm expecting to at some point, obviously, because, well, that's one of the natures of resin printing. But I have yet to do that. So, some other downfalls of it is it is a little bit loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that fan, which I guess is kind of good, but also kind of bad, because that lets me know that there's air flowing out of it and it is properly cooling the LED array and making sure that the print is, everything is cooled for the print. So that is a plus side, but obviously it's a lower quality fan. I do not know the brand of the fan. I have not looked inside of here or anything like that. I'm not going to get too technical with it. I'm just going to, more or less shoot it right off the bat like, you're going to buy this printer for what it is. So that's one of the other downfalls. The other major thing that I've known, and again, the reason why I started this print when I started this video, is this is very, very loud. So this printer is has a plastic Z setup. So it runs on a linear rail, a single one, and a Z-rod. That's not the part that's an issue. It's the part that everything that's surrounding it is encased in a what seems to be an injection molded, probably ABS plastic. And obviously to save weight, to save money, and also the entire piece that the build plate sits on, where you screw that knob in, that is also plastic. So my worry about that is artifacts transferring from the vibrations onto the print. And I'm pretty sure that we do see that, and I'll show off the prints here in a little bit. But I'm not too worried because it's not like a regular FDM printer where you're having to worry about going back and forth and everything and stuff actually transferring through. whereas this uses a light. It stays, it cures it, then it lifts up. So I mean, I'm not too worried about those artifacts, and plus, when we get to the point of finishing, the finished product is going to be far better than an FDM that has a similar problem with vibrations. So it'll be easier to paint and go from there. So all in all, it's a pretty nifty and neat printer. It comes with a magnificent instruction booklet in several different languages. Probably some of the nicest packaging I've seen so far for resin printers, whereas most of them come in cardboard boxes, labeled with random things and random things related to the printer. But this one actually came in a nice like white box, and it was almost like as if it was a store-bought unit. It was very, very nicely presented. So that for sure was definitely a big up for that. I've been printing with it for, like I said, about 2 weeks straight. I've had almost no problems with it, and when I do have problems, I had one where it was a print failure, and it was absolutely my fault. So I've been using Geeetech's water-soluble resin, and I have not changed any of the settings. I just took the She2 box profile, sliced it on there. I did not change any settings, nothing like that. All the curing times are exactly what they were, and they seem to come out pretty well, and that's pretty much it for the printer. So let's get to what the prints turned out and looked like. I will let you guys know that, unfortunately, since this is a clearer yellow, the prints are kind of hard to see, and they might be kind of hard to see on the camera here. But we're going to show it off anyway and see if we can get some detail out of it. So anyway, the first print that I did, all these prints that I'm going to be showing off are stuff that I did for my son. He had asked me to print some stuff for him, and I said, sure, no problem. And then the last one that I did was a print to do a comparison between FDM, tuned profile, and the other one is the Sparkmaker on no tuned profile, no setting changes, just right out of the box, click and print. So, first one is, it's a little slime rancher guy. I believe this is a gold slime. And my son is super into slime rancher. And so I printed one of these guys for him. And you can see that there's some artifacts like ringing around it. And I think the reason for that is in the Sparkmaker profile on the She2 box, there is no way to do, I believe it's called anti-alicing or anti-lacing. I'm not sure if how I'm saying that, but basically what that does is it kind of smooths out the prints a little bit. It may not take away everything, but it'll help out. And that might be because it's a lower budget printer that it doesn't have that ability to even do that. So you will notice that there are some like white markings on here. That's because I was a dum-dum and put this in a bath of IPA 99%. Well, that's what's going to happen with a bath of 99% IPA. You're going to get this white mark. Same thing that happens if I stick my hand in that IPA. It's going to dry my entire skin up. So it did the same thing. It dried up all the water on it. And yeah, this is basically the result of it. So, like I said, there is some ringing in here, and unfortunately, even if I got it close in the camera here, my lighting is not that great. I'll show off some more prints, like pictures and whys and everything on the Facebook groups. But there are some, ringing artifacts. And again, I don't know if that has to do with the Z or just because of the quality of the printer. I'm more or less probably going to chalk it up to the quality of the printer. But again, this is a huge improvement over FDM. So already we're way ahead of the curve in terms of getting ready for preparation. So a light sanding on this a primer and then your coating, and you're ready to rock and roll with it. So the next ones are, again, some more Slime Rancher characters. These ones, I forget what they were. I want to say maybe Tabby Slime. And again, I printed both of these. And one of them I stopped halfway because I was supposed to start a different print. And then I realized, I never sliced the one print that I had. And I just kind of loaded on the same print a second time. And, well, I was pretty much like 90% done of it. So I ended up stopping it, so that's why it's kind of got a flat head on this one. Whereas this one's a little more completed. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's ringing right underneath the mouth. Maybe not so predominant. You know, let's see if we can shed some light on this. So maybe this will help you guys see a little bit better since these are clear. But you can see all the ringing on this. Now again, a light sanding will probably take all this stuff out because it's very, very minute. This is set at 5.5 millimeter or 0.5 microns. Not exactly sure. I'm still getting into everything and all the learning curves of it. But yeah, you could definitely see right here that there's some circling right there. And then there's some circling again and again. And basically it's all around the entire print that there is circling on these prints. But these are one right after the other. Obviously, like I said, I stopped this one a little bit. That's why there's just weird stuff happening on it. And for the most part, they came out very well. I printed these right on the build plate. And like I said, they're very simple to get them up and prepped for painting. So already we're way ahead of the curve. Now for my last print that I did, it was a comparison print. So I wanted to do the difference between a tuned Ender 3 profile with lots of upgrades to it. Basically at this point it's about a $450 printer at this point, and I wanted to show off just basically the difference between it. So this is Geeetech white, and it printed nicely for the most part, but you can see all of the lines on it and everything, and you can see the stop areas because I didn't turn it on where it should do random. So they pretty much all stopped in the same area and created an extra line on the skin here. So that obviously is not very good. The teeth came out kind of so-so. But for the most part, it's a pretty good, solid print. It came out very well. Another thing that I wanted to point out is the like jagged edges. And I printed this just like this, standing up with a little bit supports on the bed. And yeah, this is basically what we got, and all the lines on the top here, and then as you can see, all the spikes, they're kind of spiky, like they're really hard to the touch, and kind of sharp, but for the most part they're kind of so-so. Whereas we got something that is resin printed on a lower quality resin printer. And again, I slice this really quickly just so I can make this video and do a comparison. And I ended up forgetting to put supports on the tail, so the tail kind of didn't really come out as good as the Ender 3. But I have another one printing right now, so we can do a better side-by-side shot. But again, you can see the ringing on this print is pretty much the same as the FDM one. And the quality, though, is right there. I mean, you can see every little thing. It printed very nicely. And all of the spikes actually came out very, very nice. So you could actually see them. So here's like a comparison. So you can see like some of them are drooping on that end. And this one we're not. Again, I printed this right on the build plate. So on this way it would be like that. Okay, so without any supports on these little sharp edges, it still came out very, very well. I was very surprised that his arms came out, some of his tail came out, all without support. So even then, it was still kind of risky to do this print, and it printed for the most part. So I was very, very happy. One of the things I wanted to mention, though, that I had weird issues with, and again, this might be because I just took the stock profile of the Sparkmaker, threw in some Geeetech, and went from there. I did not tune out the profile or anything, but on the build plate, we would get some extra stuff printed on it. So it would be like a line of jelly resin. So it would cure a little bit, and since it's clear, stuff would just start curing to it, and then it would just become a goopy blob, and all you had to do is just scrape it off. I just used my finger and scraped it right off. So it was very, very simple, very straightforward to remove those. So that I don't know if that's an issue with the Geeetech resin, or the printer itself, or the slicing profile. It's kind of hard to gauge what is what unless I throw this stuff in another printer. And unfortunately, this is the last of my water washable resin. So that's pretty much it for my review on this. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them below. And if you like this video and you like the printer, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be doing some more of this. I'll be probably doing a longer orange for the next video. But as of right now, this is actually a really, really nice printer for the money that you pay for it. And like I said, if you can find this anywhere for under $200, absolutely snag it up 100%. It is probably the best bang for your buck under $200 if you can find it for it. So that's my whole thing on this. I will leave links to order this through Amazon, and I'll see about linking all the files for all the stuff that we printed on here in case anybody wants those. And that's pretty much it, guys. Until next time, happy printing.